Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload we will be talking about the threat growing for this snow system, rain system. It's a bit unknown at this point. There definitely will be a snow component. How big will it be is kind of the question. Where it will be is kind of the question, and when will it be is also a question. So a lot of questions, no answers as usual with the weather. But I'll just talk about this threat. It'll definitely be impacting the West Coast more significantly, and we have more confidence about that as that will be impacted firstly and then moves through the mountains, and whatever happens there is a question mark. But we'll talk about that in today's video. So if you, before we get into this, if you guys like anything, in this video that you're watching, check out the other videos, see if this channel is for you, and consider subscribing. And if you are a returning viewer and you like this channel, liking the video is awesome. Always awesome. Is awesome. A combination of those two. Okay. Enough with the jokes. Let's get into this. So let's start off by looking at the GFS model and look hour 6. So pretty much probably when you're going to be watching this video, maybe a bit earlier, maybe a bit later. But this is as of the 16th of November at around 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Mountain, and 3 o'clock Pacific. So let's take a look at this. Notice we see a band of precipitation move into the northwest and into southwestern Canada. So while a lot of rain and snow will be falling, it's limited to really Washington. As you can see, this doesn't really push into the coast. It pushes up towards British Columbia and Alberta. Portions of Idaho and Montana may get clipped by this, but really insignificant. However, as we push further into the day, Tuesday, this is now 7 o'clock in the morning, we see a band of precipitation, really the cold front of this system, arriving across the west coast, Northern California, Oregon, Washington, all beginning to see rain. This is 2 o'clock tomorrow, or Tuesday, November 17th. We begin to see a transition into snow across the higher elevations, and as it pushes further inland into locations like Idaho, Montana, a bit further south and west into California, south and east, I should say, the Sierra Nevadas. It's really not a huge consolidated area of precip, but the thing is that these showers will be kind of arriving on coast periodically, but consistently. So notice, really, 7 o'clock in the morning Wednesday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we see another, if you will, band of precipitation, another slug of snow and rain reaching the west coast. This is 2 in the afternoon or 12 Pacific coast time. I just always say the time standard or central standard time zones because that's what I'm used to, but just subtract an hour or two, and generally the timing could be off by that margin. So 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock doesn't make that big of a difference, especially since it's usually off by an hour or two. So hopefully you could just adjust that, and this still makes sense. Notice that this is now 5 o'clock Pacific time. We see a good amount of the area seeing rain, snow, and this is pretty widespread coverage. It's not falling too intensely at any given time with this system, but it will be occurring over a long period of time. So obviously the snow amounts and the rain amounts will be pretty increased from that. Okay, I just turned on that radar, that loop, and that thing went straight forward. No hesitations. All right, this is, again, 5 o'clock Wednesday, and this is at around 12 o'clock midnight, right? So this is now around 5 o'clock in the morning Thursday, and again, this is depending on where you live. For the East Coast, it would be 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. So 18Z in the early afternoon, we really don't see much of anything at this point. The rain and snow has been scattered, right? So this is now pushing into Friday. We start seeing that precip fall apart, very minimal areas of good soaking moisture to produce those snowfall rates and rain. But what we do see is the Gulf Coast being open for business, and what I mean by that is a lot of moisture can be sucked out of it. So we have a high pressure right here across southeastern United States, and high pressures in the northern hemisphere spin clockwise like a clock. And notice that this is a very wide high pressure. It's combined with another one right out there. And we have the winds that are traveling through much of the western Atlantic and into the Gulf Coast, and a lot of this airflow is pushing this on the shore. So regardless of the storm system, if it's able to pick up this moisture or any moisture that is available, it will be able to do so easily, these storms. And notice that as we push this into time out of pretty much thin air, we start seeing precipitation develop. So this is early Friday morning. So yes, this is a bit early in time, right? We still have quite a week ahead of us before this occurs. You know, we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, almost the whole week. And at early Friday morning, still no signs of this. But notice that by Friday afternoon, evening Saturday, we start seeing some snow, maybe a bit of light banding precipitation of rain, not snow, rain across Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, a bit of snow occurring across Utah, the Salt Lake, maybe some the western areas of Colorado, seeing some snow, the elevated locations, southern Wyoming. And as we push this into really the wee morning hours of Saturday, a lot of people still awake, especially on the Pacific coast and on the East Coast, maybe a bit more into the sleepy time. Notice that we see 2 o'clock in the morning, we see a lot of that precip starting to move out onto the United States plains. So Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota. And this will consolidate again pretty quickly, seemingly out of thin air. Notice we see now at this point a good band of rain. We see also some pretty heavy snow developing across the mountains, Wyoming, Colorado, even the lower elevations of Front Range, if you will, of the Rockies. And then notice that we also see a bit moving into Nebraska and South Dakota. Again, this is all going to be dependent on the track of the storm and the availability of the cold air. And then as this pushes into portions of Minnesota, Wisconsin, we start seeing a rain to snow transition. And the rain will be, the concern with this storm is that the rain will be falling over a long period of time. Maybe not heavily, but over a long period of time over a similar area. And the same thing with the snow. Notice that if there's enough cold air, this could be much more of a snow situation or rain situation. We don't know at this point. And for the past, say 24 hours, the models have been slightly trending towards more of a snowy scenario, but we'll have to see if that trend continues, because if it doesn't, then we'll see a less snowy scenario out of the storm and more of a rain system. However, again, it is far out from this. This is now Saturday of next week, and notice that we start seeing again snow, rain. We see a low pressure try to take hold, take on a negative axis. Lots of snow occurring to the north. Again, not too impressive, a bit limited, but we also see quite a bit of rain. If you look at some of these locations like northern Iowa, they could be in for a dose of rain. And notice this storm takes a tilt that isn't really productive for heavy amounts of snow, or isn't really conducive, because this thing's fast moving. It covers a area in a relatively short amount of time, and yes, southern Canada will get snow out of this, it seems. Again, exactly where is a bit confusing, but notice that that low pressure moves into Quebec, into Ontario, first Ontario, then Quebec, into Labrador, Newfoundland, and a cold front sweeps through. Now you may be looking at this and being like, wow, that's not a winter storm at all. Well, again, the confidence on this is pretty low, and the models are all over the place, if you will. Some models are showing more snow, some models are showing less snow. The GFS, if you were to look at the total snowfall amounts, there are some amounts of snow that are showing, right? This may be a bit underdone by the GFS, but definitely the West will be seeing a lot of snow from this storm. So it's fair to call it a big snowstorm. You know, I mean, just because it hits the west with snow and not the east, west of the mountains or east of the mountains, doesn't mean it doesn't count as a snowstorm. And I do understand that it may be a bit misleading if I say a snowstorm and it's not affecting your location. But, you know, I mean, a snowstorm could bring a rainy side to you. You just got to understand that. And a lot of locations will get impacted by rain. If you were to look on the total accumulated precipitation graph, you could see quite a bit of rain will be falling, especially kind of around that rain-snow transition area. But even away from those areas, you could see generally more than a half an inch to an inch across many states. Missouri, Kansas, all this blue is higher than a half an inch. Well, the phone is calling. Sorry about that brief interruption, but let's get back into this. So notice again, as I was mentioning, a lot of rain and many locations seeing above that half-inch margin, which is usually considered a moderate rainfall event, to say the least. And again, with thunderstorms, maybe there could be a bit more isolated higher amounts and a bit isolated lower amounts, depending obviously on where those thunderstorms line up, which will be a bit hard to foresee, especially this far out. Let's take a look at another model. Let's take a look at the Canadian model, CMC, Canadian Meteorological Center. Notice that's similar. We have a similar setup where we kind of have an area of concentrated precip around that rain-snow transition area, and even further south all the way to the Gulf Coast, some decent amounts of rain lots and lots across the northwest. And again, some of this will be falling as snow, actually quite a bit. If I were to show you the total snowfall, you could see that most of this will be falling as snow. And the Canadian, again, you can see this is one of the models that doesn't show that much snow for these locations. It really keeps it limited. Almost no snow other than for Colorado, a bit of Nebraska and Wyoming. The mountains, again, seeing absolutely copious amounts of snow. You know, some of these locations could be seeing 100 inches plus within a matter of 10 days. And you can see a bit across the Great Lakes and southeastern Canada. From this system, it expands it for sure across Quebec, Montreal, Ottawa, seeing some snow out of this, but none of the U.S. viewers will be really seeing, according to the Canadian, obviously, from this storm. GFS Parallel, this model run is the oldest, as it's from midnight, so more than 15, oh sorry, 12 plus 5 is not 15, more than 15 hours ago, or 17 hours ago, 17 hours ago, the GFS Parallel. And notice that, again, not much snow, a bit across the Canadian Maritimes and into Quebec, northern Maine, a bit across Colorado, but a ton across the west and northwest. But again, not all models agree with this. And if I were to show you the European, I want to show you the European as a biggest example for this storm. So notice this is what the European shows in terms of the snowfall from this storm. You can see there are some amounts of 9, 8, 7 inches. They are very spatchy. I like that word. Spotty or patchy amounts. A bit of a Nebraska, kind of a break, a bit in Iowa, break, Michigan, break, Canada. And obviously the amounts in British Columbia and the Northwest will be extremely heavy. So that seems to be consistent, and that makes sense as this is going to be occurring starting tonight, so that is obviously less further out than this system over here. But if I were to take a look at the European model from, let's say, midnight and put it out to that storm, I mean, look at that. It shows absolutely almost nothing from that system. I thought I was almost pulled up on a wrong map because of how big of a difference that was. So again, this is the model run that came out the same time this GFS Parallel did. So you can see how much it could change based on one model run. So a lot of snow across the northwest, but look, almost really nothing forming out of that system other than across Canada and southeastern Canada. Really, though, across the U.S., the chances have gone up with the latest model run, right? Let's go back to another model run, the one before this. So this is now Sunday, 12 o'clock noon. Let's just go to the total snowfall to make this easy on us. And notice this one showed a bit more, right? So it is jumping around. Again, it's not showing the most aggressive solution with the latest model run. There was a model run a few days back that showed a very, very copious amounts of snow across the Midwest. And I actually just had a deja vu because I remember sitting here by this desk saying the same exact things with the European model showing an early snowstorm. If you recall that snowstorm across Colorado and Wyoming that dumped a lot of snow into Utah, those locations, it was like that. I called it a destructive winter storm because of how early it was. First week, I think, of September. I remember that the European initially showed a bunch of snow, then it backed off, and then it showed a bunch again. Will that happen again? It's a possibility, but there's no real correlation or pattern that we are seeing. Again, showed quite a bit across southeastern Canada on Sunday noon, not across the central United States. Let's go back to the midnight one, but on Sunday, so even further back. Again, really much of the same. Not much here. Quite a bit more across Canada. Still a lot of snow across the northwest, but definitely this one that we have right here is the most aggressive one in a while. And I don't know if I'll be able to show you, but there was one model on a few days ago that showed an absolute beast of a storm erupting across the Midwest. This same storm, right? But just showed really large amounts of snow. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just trying to find it right now so I can show it to you. I think that it may not even be on here because of how far away it was. But I remember that it was interesting to look at as it showed 18, 19 inches across much of Illinois. And I think that was just too old of a model. Okay, see right there. This was the one on Friday. Look at it, showed 18 inches of snow across Illinois. So maybe we could see something like this. Obviously, the location is a completely another detail that has to be worked out. But just in general across the United States, we'll have to see. Again, most confident about the very heavy snow across the Northwest. Quite a bit of rain across the lower elevations. Confidence on the chance for, again, some more substantial confidence on snow in the southeastern Canada area, maybe the extreme northern United States, the northeastern Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine area. But otherwise than that, the central area right here is a huge question mark, and we will just have to wait and see. And I know I hate that answer as well when people say that, but unfortunately, that's just the best thing we can do at this point without misleading ourselves. In terms of precipitation, I want to go to the latest model run, so it's actually accurate. Notice it shows quite a good dose of rain. Now, this won't be falling as snow, but this will be falling as rain. And look at that, the northwest in that double digits in terms of rainfall. Here across the Midwest, 2-3 inches. Cities like Detroit, maybe southern Milwaukee, the Quad Cities, Des Moines, Chicago, all those larger locations, Lansing, Grand Rapids, Kansas City, maybe getting on some of that and pushing into Toronto and further into Canada. And again, the snowfall, let's just show you the precip type and rate to see how this develops based on the European. Again, a extended precip event across the west and northwest, and then it seemingly all dissipates, but out of nowhere, not really, but by the looks of it, a precip band develops, very heavy rain. And again, if we have enough cold air and right enough of a track, we could be looking at some substantial amounts of snow if that were to form. And you can see that the European is hinting at that, but it also shows a lot of sleet, ice, kind of mixing in some freezing rain. So that is a bit unfortunate at how unconfident that is. But notice it still shows kind of a dancing of two storms right here, maybe a potential formation of a stronger storm. We'll have to see. At this point, that is very far out. But again, that's all the fun about weather. Thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking if you would like. Consider subscribing. Hopefully I informed you a bit more. But in general, again, this week for the central and eastern U.S. looks relatively quiet, other than for a few locations, maybe seeing some light rain. Though the west, especially the further north and west you go, will be seeing rain and snow. And as you saw, some of those rain amounts and snow amounts will be copious. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all guys on the next episode. See ya. Bye.